إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده نصر عبده وهزم الأحزاب وحده. لا إله إلا هو العلي القدير، لا إله إلا هو الحفيظ العليم. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. My dear brothers, everyone in the past 2 days have seen and heard and witnessed what happened to a few young boys. And for me, this opens up a few topics. And these few topics should never be closed down at the first place. First of all, as parents, as Muslim parents, and as a Muslim community, we should know our duty to protect and look after these kids. What we saw on Wednesday is another sign and another message. And this message was given to us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when He revealed the Quran to His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And it's the same message that a lot of people refuse to believe, even though it's in the Quran. And it's simply, it is وَلَمْ تَرْضَ عَنْكَ الْيَهُودُ وَلَا النَّصَارَى حَتَّى تَتَّبِعَ مِلَّتَهُمْ. O Muhammad, you and your nation. That's a message to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and to his nation. The Christians and the Jews, they will never come close to you or be happy with you or peaceful with you until you follow one of their religions. That's why when you see a Jew or a Christian or any other religion doing anything, it's always treated as a mental case. As he's got history, he's acting on himself. Doesn't matter how old this person is, like what we saw 2 weeks ago in Bondi. Stabbing people, killing 6 of them, immediately he's a mental case. Because his name doesn't start with Muhammad or Ahmad or Mustafa or etc. etc. Straight away he's a mental case. But when it comes to the kid that stabbed the bishop, yes, he has mental history, the kid, but this is a terrorist attack. This is motivated by religion. They use the word religion to sugarcoat it. They don't use it's motivated by Islam. They would love to say it's motivated by Islam. They would love to. But all over the media, this is an act of terrorism. Then on Wednesday, 17 raids, 7 of them being locked up, or 5 charges for kids in the age of 14 to 17 years old. Kids! officers, they're happy, they're proud. 400 officers joined the operation. For what? For a kid that if you send him one security guard will bring him without any issue? Any of these kids, if two police officers knocked on the door and told the parents we want to talk to your kids, and we might lock them up, the parents will be helpful. So the kids don't fall into bigger issues. But now, 400 officers from the heaviest force there is in Australia. Anti-terrorism. With media on top, visiting houses, knocking on doors. The media, instead of doing its job by questioning the government, why are you putting too much money on a few kids? Now they go on and supporting the message, these are terrorists, we save the country, imminent danger. This is the double standards we're living in. And this is the message Allah gave us. And this is just another event. I don't think this is going to stop. Don't think that people are going to allow Islam to spread without fighting against it. Alhamdulillah, the message is spreading whether they like it or not. And every time they do a show like this, a scenario like this, as soon as they get a chance, subhanAllah, you find more and more people interested to learn about Islam and enter in Islam. Wallahu mutimmu nurihi walau kariha al-kafirun. Whether they like it or not, Islam will spread. And the wings of Islam will cover the whole world, whether they like it or not. And I remind you again, don't be in a defensive line when people talk to you about these events. Don't feel embarrassed. Look, this is not what Islam is about. Yes, these kids, they don't know anything about Islam. They haven't learned any proper knowledge. And by Allah, some of them, or not, if not all of them, they don't know how to perform prayer correctly. But incidents like this makes these kids feel injustice. Incidents like this, double standards like this from the government, it gives more, it fuels this fire. Watching the world, just watching the Muslims being killed in cold-blooded, fuels this fire. But this is where our duty as Muslim community, parents, brothers and sisters, who should be the ones who are intervening with these kids before the government gets the excuse to? Who should be the ones keeping an eye on these kids inside our own houses before we give the government an excuse to attack them and lock them up like this? All what these kids have done is just talk. They haven't done anything yet. But that sort of talk should be monitored by their own parents, by their own neighbors, by their own teachers, by their own friends, brothers, sisters. Why does it slip all of us until it gets to the government so they have the excuse to attack us like this? Why don't we pay attention to these kids? I'm sure every single parent, every single father does not want to see his son treated or handled by 40 officers or plus. searched, thrown into juvenile where you can't even see him. If you don't want to see your son getting to that point, either through this excuse or other excuses like doing any criminal act, then it is your duty to keep an eye on him from a young age. Keep an eye on his devices. Even the gaming console that he uses, keep an eye on it. Wallahi din wallah. There are people that fight Islam day and night by talking to our kids on these consoles and trying to get them to do extremist acts. Don't think that console that they play on is an innocent place that they go into to play. It's open to the world. When he's got his headsets on and talking to someone on the other side, you have no idea who he is talking to and what they're talking about. When he's on his phone messaging or in groups, you don't know what they're talking about. As a parent, it is your duty to protect your son. To watch him, to monitor him. If you can't help him, bring someone from your own religion, from your own community to help him out. Don't ignore it until it's too late. If you don't know how to raise him in this country, take him to another country where you can raise him properly. And by Allah, it doesn't matter what comfort you live in. The discomfort, even if you have billions of dollars, when your son grows up not being on the straight path, will make him forget everything else you have. The discomfort of dealing with a difficult child that's either on drugs or doing crime, or thinking that he knows better than you in Islam, that will make you forget everything about this life. And wallahi din wallahi, only a few days ago I was dealing with a case where the mother making dua on her son. She's talking to him, telling him, you were the most beloved son to me because you were the most disciplined and the best son to me. But after being on drugs, she's making dua on him, I wish you were dead. That would be much more comfortable for me. Wallahi din wallah, this government, the one that spread its wings and showed muscles on teenagers, the mother was telling them, my son is unsafe to be out. They didn't do anything about it until too many issues happened. But on a few kids, full force straight away. My brothers, do your duty as parents. Learn how to parent. Learn how to be friends with your kid. Learn how to teach them and how to be the source of comfort for them. So when they have an issue, they come to you. You don't go to someone else. Learn how to teach your wife to be a proper mother. Instead of all what she cares about how and what her house looks like and what car she drives. And do that early enough. Don't wait until you wake up in the morning when your son is not in your house anymore and you can't even see him. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه فإنه هو المستغفرين. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد. My dear brothers, there has to be steps taken right now. There has to be changes in every single house, in every single family. Priorities changed. I always remind, and I will always remind for the rest of my life, that knowledge is the biggest factor that would make life different for you and for your family. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He spoke to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam through the Quran, He didn't tell him and acknowledge that there is no God but Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used a stronger term, وَعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ. Have the knowledge, the firm knowledge that there is no God but Allah. Everything about Islam is with knowledge. Everything about Islam, which is the only religion on earth that told you keep your brain working, is about knowledge. Raising children is about knowledge. Marriage is about knowledge. Unfortunately, we take these things for granted. We get married just because everyone does, and that's for some people because it's the only way to have a relationship. We have kids because I just want to pass my name. I want to have children when I grow up. We don't look at these things as acts of worship. We don't treat them for the way they are Islamically. Building a relationship in Islam, marriage, is an act of worship from the day you get married to the day you die. When you feed your wife, your children is an act of worship. When you teach them is an act of worship. And neglecting them is a major sin. It's a big sin. Allah made it a duty on the parents, on the father, the man. يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا. Protect yourself and build the shield for your family from hellfire. How are you going to build it without teaching them? How are you going to build that shield around them unless you pass the same knowledge that you require to enter Jannah? And how are they going to learn from you unless they have a good relationship with you? How are they going to accept you as a role model unless you are a good role model? And don't think that they don't take you as a role model. Wallahi, every son and every daughter get affected by the parents. Doesn't matter what the parents is like. So if you show them good, they will act good. And if you show them otherwise, that's what they're going to show. Unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us all. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala show us the way to protect and to care for our children. To protect them from any disbeliever that would love harm to them, as we see right now and everywhere. For us, we think about 7 children or 5 children being locked up now. To them, that's a victory. That's a victory because every single Muslim is a sign of danger for them. It's another tool to spread the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do not underestimate what's happening. Look at it as what it is. That they would love to do that to every single Muslim child and every single Muslim person. Showing all this force on teenagers is just a reminder. We're here and we're waiting for you guys to do something. Or to even just say something. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our families from all of that. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring back our religion through us and use us for that sake. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد رب اغفر لنا ولوالدينا رب اغفر لنا ولوالدينا رب اغفر لنا وللذين سبقونا بالإيمان رب اجمعنا وإياهم على صراط مستقيم رب اجمعنا وإياهم على صراط مستقيم رب اجمعنا وإياهم على صراط مستقيم اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم فك أسر المسلمين في كل مكان يا رب العالمين اللهم انصر المستضعفين في كل مكان يا رب العالمين اللهم انصرهم في غزة انصرهم في بلاد الشام وفي العراق وفي اليمن وفي جميع بقاع الأرض يا رب العالمين اللهم يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك نستغيث فرج عنا الهم والغم اللهم يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك نستغيث انصر هذا الدين واجعلنا ممن تستخدمهم في ذلك انك انت السميع العليم اللهم يا ذا الجلال والاكرام اغفر لنا اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا اللهم علمنا علما نافعا وانفعنا بما علمتنا انك انت السميع العليم وصل اللهم وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى اله وصحبه اجمعين واقم الصلاه